Right, so here we are at the fifth event for the Popolot Super Series. My name's Aidan, I'm the popcorn guy, and I'm here with Rangor. Rangor, how are you?
I'm great, mate, great.
So what can you tell us about these players?
Well, we've got Luke Coates, who's a newer player. This was his first ever Popolot Super Series.
Yep.
He has showed up with Delver and given it a whirl. Now this is his first event and he's in the top 8.
Yeah, he's actually done remarkably well. I mean, I remember I was on the registration desk in the morning and he rushes in full of nerves, oh, am I late? So that's the type of player we've got sitting across from Justin Chung. Now, what kind of player is Justin?
Juz is a Sydney All-Star. He's been playing Magic for quite a long time. He has an excellent team backing. He's one of the best players Sydney has to offer.
Right.
He at this point he's in the Player of the Year race, right? He's one of Popolot Super Series best players.
Right, and part of Team Cryptic Commando.
He is Gary Wong's crew.
Right. So Luke leads off with a ponder. So what's the strategy behind this, Frank?
Well, surely he mustn't have a Delver, right? So he's gone with the shuffle off the ponder. So he must be looking for a Delver. If you have a Delver in your hand, you would play it.
Okay.
And let it blind flip or ponder the next turn, right?
Yep.
So you're already presenting damage.
Okay.
I think he just drew a Delver. So Juz has missed a mana drop. He's playing green, red aggro.
Correct, and in fact, Juzza put on his deck list that Jack Ding, one of his teammates, actually built the deck for him.
Jack Ding, another one of Sydney. Well, there we go, double Delver. So
he was holding a Delver, perhaps.
Or he's drawn off the ponder and off his turn, which could be... I guess we'll know now because it's something you might say, oh, Juz is going to Pillar of Flame one.
Right, exiling it. But Luke is known for unconventional plays.
Yep. So he may have tried to set a Delver up before having a Delver, which could be a little awkward, but... So now he's going Thought Scour to clear some stuff on the top of his deck. Going back to Jack Ding building Juzz's deck.
Yeah.
Jack is another one of Sydney's top players.
Sure is.
He's extremely competitive. He hates travelling and wants to stay in the main parts of Sydney at all time. But when he does get to the events, he puts up good finishes.
He sure does, yeah. And one of the things I really like is the team approach by Cryptic Commandos. One of our previous events, I witnessed they read the metagame perfectly, and their whole team came equipped with the correct choices. And what's he played here?
It's a Daybreak Ranger.
Daybreak Ranger.
So this little guy shoots flyers left, right and centre, and Luke says, I can go back to your hand. The Cryptic Commandos are quite vigilant in picking their decks. They're up with the latest tech. They normally know what to do with it.
There we go, flipping Delver.
So now he's revealed the mana leak off the Delver. He's probably just going to sit behind that, right?
Okay, so most Delver players do that.
Yeah.
Just sit behind it, protect the Delver.
Yep, Juzza has 5 turns to find a way to get through a mana leak and the Delver. So Luke's in a fantastic spot. Like, this match could be over in 3 or 4 minutes.
But we know Juzza's a pretty tenacious player. He's going to play every option here.
He'll be looking for a way around that. Now, Juzza's got a Brimstone Volley in hand. I'm pretty sure that's what that picture is. Yep, it is. So Juzza's going to be hoping that Luke commits wrong. Oh, and Luke seems to be moving Morlenhorn. Here he goes. So Luke's going to commit a Singleton Spirit to the board, and I'm sure Juzza's going to fry him for that.
Yeah, it's questionable benefit, isn't it?
Well, it's really the wrong stage to try and go for. Juzza may have thrown the Brimstone Volley at the Delver in Luke's turn to draw a mana leak so that he would have a free turn to himself. But instead, he's just going to take advantage of it right now. They're provided with spirit tokens. 1 over the top. Luke doesn't seem to like his name being covered up.
No, he doesn't. He's a funny guy, Luke. funny hand movements. And for those watching this from home, what you're actually missing is some of the quite animated conversation that Luke engages in, during his matches. He's a funny guy, not scared about talking it up.
So that's Borderland Ranger.
Okay.
Jazz is holding a crew of Rangers in his hand and he's not sure which one will attack first.
So Luke has to think about this.
So he's tapped in Leak Mana. And it looks like he's going to decide again. No, he's going for it. It's probably right if he wants to keep Jazza behind on mana. If he doesn't think slowing Jazza's mana is relevant, he'll let it resolve as he does. So he mustn't have any reason for wanting to slow Jazza's mana. He thinks, alright, you can have it. So before Jazza shove, he green suns for a Budgie. Or a Lanham Ralph.
Oh, here we go. Mana leaks the...
Choosing to deny the mana dot.
Okay, interesting play. And like I said, Luke likes the unconventional plays. But actually, as he was coming into this grand final, I did notice he kept running out and calling his family to let them know how he was doing. He was very excited about his success today.
A good run to the top can often really hype you up.
Yeah, look, he finished the outside of top 8. He was certainly at the top of the standings. I don't know that he dropped many games during the day. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that part of his success was due to his unconventional plays, his interesting choices.
Quite possibly. He's making the non-linear choices of play, which will quite often, Jazza will probably be thinking, why did he do that?
Yeah, exactly. So top decks the Hunt Master and plays it. The Delver deck offers a lot of decision trees, but Luke tends to choose the most unusual ones at times. And I think you mentioned before, Jazza is quite familiar with the Delver deck.
Yeah, he's played it for a long time and he's quite good with it.
So faced with a player who makes interesting choices, it can inadvertently force you into making the wrong read, perhaps, through no fault of his own.
That could be right. On the other hand, Jazza may be reading him as a beginner.
True. Dungeon Geist.
There we go, he's fixed his mana. I was just about to say, I'm pretty sure he's tapped the wrong mana to cast that.
So tapping the wolf, can you tell us what the rationale is behind tapping the wolf?
He'll be hoping to kill something with the Geist. If Jazza chooses to kill the Geist, at least it's not a token. Now he's probably hoping, he may have a Vapor Snag. So if Jazza single blocks, he can bounce it.
Yep.
Jazza's not that bad a player. He would understand that that's probably the read. So he'll double block to make sure that he can take the Geist out. Which is exactly what happens. Now I'm not sure how in-depth Luke thought that through, whether he just wanted to put 4 damage across, whether he treats his Geist like a blue-white Hell's Thunder. But that's how Jazza would have read that move. He would be reading the Vapor Snag. So Jazza's probably thinking, do I sword and swing through, or do I Garruk and take out the Dungeon Geist?
We can tell by the way he's manipulating his hand. Probably Garruk is the preferred option here.
If he can resolve the sword and get it across, he takes control of the game. But he probably doesn't want to lose the sword into a leak where he can handle losing the Garruk. His opponent does have 5 power on the board at the moment though, which puts him in a predicament. I mean, this will come down to his choice. You can see the choices he's making.
Yep. Okay.
Looks like he's picking Garuk and then he's deciding against it, and then he's... It's got to be scaring him. Like,
Absolutely. So we've come to one of those critical points in the game.
I'm a risk taker. I would be throwing that sword down saying, you got it or you don't, you already resolved one, let's try. Juz is probably calculating it. His opponent particularly kept open a blue the turn before and then realised he didn't have the right mana to cast that Dungeon Geist. So that may be registering in his head as well.
Right.
So he's chosen to go for Garuk.
Luke's going to have a good old read here.
The other thing about the sword is if Juzza draws another land, he can resolve the sword safely.
Yeah.
He's got one in hand, but he hasn't played it yet, so Luke doesn't know that.
So I'm assuming that when Guruk comes down, or when it resolves, he's going to shoot the Dungeon Geist.
Yep, which will unlock that wolf.
Alright, so Juz's Guruk resolves, shooting Dungeon Geist.
So now Juzza has 4 power to Luke's 2. He goes for the Grand Sun for 1 again. Now this is adding more mana to the board, so Juzza can play around that mana leak quite easy.
Right,
like,
okay.
Around more mana leak.
Yeah.
He's still holding back Daybreak Ranger and Sword of War and Peace at this stage.
No fear from Luke. He's got the life buffer there.
If Juzza happens to resolve Sword of War and Peace, Luke's life buffer will quickly dissipate.
Okay, so
Here he
2
goes.
cards in hand, that's an additional 2 damage. Should he connect with a creature? Here he goes, putting it on Borderland Ranger. Is Luke going to respond with Vapor Snag? That is the question.
He doesn't even need to respond if it's Vapor Snake because it's only pro red, pro white, but
Right, okay. No? Tapping and untapping mana like a fiend here. Okay, yeah. That's interesting. So casting into a Vapor Snag. I like it.
Trade with the wolf. Make a spirit.
No, he lets it go through.
He's just going to take 2. Well, he's got such a high buff, he may as well, and then swing back for 6.
Yep. Meanwhile, Juzza sits there looking like a donkey eating a waffle.
He can still make a spirit off his Dungeon Geist as well.
Yeah, fair enough. You can see here the results of drinking too many energy drinks. Luke Coates, very quite animated there.
It's quite hyperactive. I guess Juzza's wondering which way to go at this stage. Hooks up the budgie.
Right.
Makes another spirit. He has 5 power on board. Honda.
What do you think he's hoping to see here?
He's looking for a vape snake.
Yeah, absolutely. Would be great. I see an O-ring in his hand there, which I think he's elected to take a mana leak, is that? And an island.
It's interesting that he had the O-ring main board. It's something not many double players tend to do. Like, you don't often see a O-ring in their main board. It gets in their way of their master plan a lot of the time.
Right, so having that enchantment there just seems to hinder the flipping of the Delver.
Yeah, it's also a 3-drop.
Well, he can't target the bird because the pro white, so what's he going to do? He target the sword, maybe?
Yeah, he'd have to be targeting the sword. Are you trying to target the bird? What's going on?
I think he might have, but as an illegal target, he has to nominate something else, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'm sure Jozza would politely inform him that. There he goes, under the sword. Now Jozza has to jump block with his budgie. Goes to 2. What can he draw off the top? And it's a land.
Mountain's not going to do it.
On to game 2, Jozza goes.
Alright.
Into game 2 they head. Now Jozza's got, he quite often plays Delver himself. So Jozza knows the insides and outsides of the deck.
Okay.
So he's got to be hoping that that knowledge is going to transfer across and get him there.
Yeah. And by contrast, Luke Coates coming back into Magic, and perhaps his sideboard reflects that?
Yeah, I was looking at his sideboard before, and there's quite a lot of one-off new cards here and there that almost look like he's trialling them.
Right, yeah. Jozza elects to mulligan down to 6. Yeah, Luke's sideboard was really interesting. I remember when we looked at it, the one-offs were quite interesting. There was a gut shot, mutagenic growth, a divine deflection, but perhaps the most interesting thing was a Tameo. One Tameo in the sideboard. I mean,
I'm not quite sure. Like, I play and I love Magic, but I'm not quite sure in what matchup you want a Singleton Tameo.
Right.
It's not the Singleton Jace that people were bringing in to mill out the mill opponents,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
In what match I'm not 100% sure you want Tameo.
Yeah. Solid start by Jozza here. Gets off his Bird of Paradise turn 1.
Luke's got his land ready to roll. Look at me. Vapor Snag.
Vapor Snag's the birdie. So Luke's also running like 2 Phantasmal Image, 2 Mental Misstep. This is in his sideboard, a Righteous Blow, a Negate, and a Curse Break.
Curse Break and Righteous Blow are not seen. They're not cards that are overly played in Delver decks. And both have unique uses, I suppose.
Here we go. Luke's doing a bit of research. Budgie comes back. We've got Strangleroot Geist, Huntmaster, Green Sun Zenith and a red burn spell. I didn't quite catch what that was.
Is it a burn spell? So he's drawn a... I want to say it's Acidic Slime, but I haven't been really on my game tonight. So Geese down. Leak.
Solid.
Yep. Straight up.
St. Traft hits the board. Interesting, no counter cover here, so potentially, yep, 4 mana. He's got a free
Hunt Master.
Play, yep.
Which says Vapor Snag, I don't care. Go back up to 21. See that, whatever that red card is, I want to guess I know what it is, but I also don't want to be wrong again, but I don't think it's a burn spell.
Well, we'll see.
Luke will go Dungeon Gears Lockdown Wolf.
He's got it there in his hand, yep. Good call.
And then swing to trade with Huntmaster. Is what he's hoping. Jazza will pause on whether he can win the race or whether he needs to take it out. And take it out he does.
Draws a Llanowar Elf off the top. Still sitting at 4 mana. I think he's putting that Green Sun to the front for a reason there.
Is he going to go with the Green Sun or... Yeah, see, no, I wish I knew what was in his hand right now.
Could that be a Hell Rider, perhaps?
Kind of what I thought it was, but I didn't want to be wrong again. I've got an ego to protect here. And if it is, it's wise to thinking right now. He can either... I'm guessing this is an elf.
Llanowar Elf, correct?
Yeah. So he can play an elf and have an Acidic Slime next turn, but then Luke can leak it if he untapped.
Right.
Or
So
he goes with the Hell
Rider.
Rider.
The Hell Rider.
Yep, and swings across for the extra damage. Now he's got Acidic Slime, Elf, and Green Sun Zenith in his hand.
I believe Luke just top decked an O-ring. Not sure that it's overly relevant at the moment, we'll see. Choosing to pass. We know he's got Leak in hand and a Vapor Snag. Snag, sorry.
Cross with Hell Rider. Luke can Vapor Snag it and hope to catch it back down on the way, back down with the Mana Leak.
Yeah. But he lets it through.
Just to take the damage.
I see.
So what he's done is he's taken the 1 damage from the attack being declared and then he's bouncing it in combat, which
I see.
It's probably a lack of knowledge on how to control the game. because he did have a chance before Juzza declares attacks, but inside the attack step to have bounced that. Now, he probably doesn't understand that, so he's gone to the attack step, taken the one, and then bounced it, so Juzza can't just replay it.
Right. Juzza's a good enough player to know that Luke's probably holding Mana League.
Yeah.
Tempts him.
Green Suns for 3 instead, yeah.
Yep, plays the island that he top decked.
That Pillar of Flame, does it just true?
So Juzza's having a good old think about this because Luke's signalling quite a few things here. We know that he's got the O-ring in hand, and I think I saw a Snapcaster Mage in his hand as well.
So Juzza's gone with the Hellrider, which Luke has immediately Snapcaster.
Yep, there we go.
Does go Budgie and Latimer off. It now has a very quick clock on Juzza, which chooses not to swing Snapcaster and Latimer off.
Do you remember if Juzza's running any Titans in that deck?
I don't think he is. Miracle Bonfire. If he he needs to do it for 3, which means he can get leaked. Has he done it for 4?
And it was leaked.
It's leaked.
Wow.
Ponder.
Is he looking at Geist of St. Traft? Thought Scour, or is that Mental Mister? I just missed it.
No, I think it might be Thought Scour. If it's Thought Scour, no. So he's going to Snapcaster into Vapor Snag for the game, right? 5, 6, 7, yeah. I want to do that before. What? Maybe I missed something. He did just draw a Snapcaster, right? I'm pretty exhausted from the weekend, as you may have guessed. I had a big one myself, but I was sure he drew a Snapcaster, which just meant Snapcaster Vapor Snag for game, but either I'm wrong or he forgot Vapor Snake does 1 damage, didn't think it killed Juzza, or I'm not quite sure what the rationale there was, but
maybe he just enjoys playing, wants to soak up every moment of it.
Maybe.
I like to think the best of Luke.
Brimstone Volley.
So it was the snap.
So he had the Snapcaster. So he had the game last turn and chose not to kill Juzza. He chose to go another turn and...
Oh, he's just playing on a completely different level, right?
Well, yeah, possibly. I normally try and win the game when my opponent's tapped out.
Well, I did say he's a very polite guy.
It's almost like a cat playing with its food, if that's what he did. Like, what if just a miracle bonfire would right now? You know what? It's a moment like this that you sort of hope, well, maybe he beats him. Come on, Juzza. Okay, so Luke has nothing on board at the moment. He can make spirits. Thought scours himself. Paper snag. A spirit token. That timely reinforcement?
I believe it is. So he's obviously sided that in during the sideboarding.
Yeah, that's not good for Juzza. He chooses not to do it.
I guess he thinks he can just win it with the angel.
Yeah, you're right.
I still don't see how that
But
helps.
that doesn't. I think Juzza might be seeing what he'll do.
Yeah,
maybe like.
Yeah.
And now it's game, right?
Well, we thought that before, didn't we?
Yeah, maybe Luke's scared of 2/2/2s and decides to hold back to get 4 flying creatures before he attacks. No, he makes no.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. So, Luke, the relatively newcomer, definitely a newcomer to the Popolot Super Series.
Well, it's
rises to the
interesting that
top.
Juzza didn't try and mise him and say you forgot to trigger your angel.
Right. Well, there we have it. Another successful event. That's the end of season 1.
Yeah, and what a season it's been.
It has. In fact, Justin Chung came out as Player of the Year season 1.
He did, and it was still tied up right until one of the second last matches.
Correct. Yeah. We were closely monitoring that throughout the day, and you know what? He fully deserves that accolade. Regardless of the fact that his team backed him the whole way, and supported him, I believe that's a part of the strategy for getting to be Player of the Year.
It is for sure. You can't get there by being a bad player with a team. You still have to be one of the best players out there.
Right, and that's what we're hoping to do. All right, so our next event, 1st of July, Wollongong.
The hike down south.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
City Diggers, great venue.
Yep.
We actually have a mezzanine floor for the next one, so we'll be playing our feature matches upstairs and the main event downstairs. But from Rangor and I, that's all for today, and we hope to see you at our next event.
Thank you all.